So our goal here is to give you a few reminders on how to complete your 7-word summaries. And remember that when we say 7-word summaries, it's something you'll have to do 4 times in U.S. History A and 4 times in U.S. History B. So spread out throughout the 2 trimesters, you will do it a total of 8 times throughout the year. Now the question becomes, what are 7-word summaries? Remember that 7-word summaries refers to the vocabulary and people relevant to the unit that you will need to define by the end of the unit. You're going to get the list of people and vocabulary when you test on the previous unit. So what that means is, say it's the 2nd unit of U.S. History A or U.S. History B. You complete the first part of the test, you complete the second part of the test, and when you hand in that second portion, you can get that list of vocabulary and people. And we'll even put it for you on Google Classroom. Ultimately, every single one of these vocabulary and people is due, completed, by test day of that corresponding unit. So that list of people and vocabulary that you get when you test on the previous unit, that will be due on test day for the unit. You can finish it prior to the unit test. Prior to the end of the unit, you may certainly finish it, and if you are done, all right, this is the deal that I make with you. If you're done 2 or more school days before the test, I'll give you feedback. That means I'll score it. I'll look at it. I'll score it, tell you what you need to fix, and you can get those points back. So if there are 37 points you can earn on this assignment, and you would have earned 31, I'll score it, give it back to you. You can earn those 6 points back by test day. Understand that each term and person must be defined in exactly 7 words, plain and simple. Exactly 7 words. So this begs the question, what are the rules? What are the guidelines? And remember, this is on that physical piece of paper you received in class, and it's also on Classroom, but I'll give you the verbal explanation as well. Acronyms count as multiple words, so that's how I count them towards your 7-word summaries. United States is 2 words. So if you really are struggling, you have United States in there, and you have 8 words, just say America, and it will count as 1. If you really feel compelled to use a year, I count it as 1 word. Avoid them. I'll just spell it out. Please avoid years, especially when, some people I have students try to define the people in terms of their birthday. Not going to work. Avoid it. If it's hyphenated, it's 1 word. Your definitions need to be written either as sentences or sentence fragments. Now what that means is you need to be able to read it out loud and it makes sense. You can't define Martin Luther by saying monk, German, Reformation. It needs to have some type of flow to it. It should be fluid. We ask you to number your definitions. On the paper you hand in, put them on one place. So it's either one Google Doc with everything numbered, or a sheet of paper, or multiple papers that are stapled together. Again, everything is numbered. This makes it easier to give you quick feedback. For the vocabulary, what is it? What does it mean? You need to relate the vocabulary to the unit. Be specific. It can't be a definition that has no relevancy to the way we learned about it. And when it comes to the people, focus on what they did during the unit. Remember, birthdays don't count. Non-unit information does not count. Great example is George Washington. During the Revolution, he had many roles. None of them was as president. He was not president during the Revolution, so that would be an incorrect definition if you handed it in for that unit. Now, each definition, again, is worth 1 point. If it's 6 or 8, so if it's not 7 words, I deduct half a point so long as the definition is still correct. So if you have a full list of people in vocabulary, all of them are correctly defined, but none of them are 7 words, you get half credit. If you define them on the paper that has everything listed, then I take 2 points off, because that makes it very difficult to count and define. And if you don't number them, that's also a 2-point deduction. You hand them in on time, and if you follow these guidelines, you get full credit. Now, in terms of tips, how to make this a simple process. Keep up, keep up, keep up. This is why we ask you to write down and identify the terms that we cover on a daily basis. Much easier to keep up than catch up. Remember that they are due at the beginning of test day and you have weeks to accomplish it. Complete them on time, complete them on time. You have lots of time to do so. So if you're keeping up, emergencies that happen maybe a few days before shouldn't be too much of an issue. Get used to maybe defining 3 per day. If you define 3 per day and just do it Monday through Thursday, by the end of the week you have 12 done. After 2 weeks, 24. And you might find that you're really on a roll and you keep on going. Please complete them on time and feel free to get feedback. You may always submit or hand in definitions for me to check, and I will willingly check it, get it back to you by the next day with suggestions on how to improve it. Stick to information we learned in class. Please refrain from kind of going off script. And the thing I hear time and time again is this really isn't that bad. You get used to it after a unit or 2. And you understand that in some ways it's maybe better than trying to write a paragraph about each term, or just the open, direction of define these. It's easier to use the 7-word limit. Now, in terms of how is it done, I'm going to use the example of something called Facebook. Facebook. One of the earliest social media platforms. It's a social media platform. It was indeed one of the earliest. This is 7 words. This would be correct. Some of you might know Facebook because of Marketplace. Facebook, place where items are bought and sold. This defines the marketplace aspect of it. It's different than the first one. It's 7 words. Both of these are correct, both of them are different, but they both would get full credit. Now this, of course, would not be Facebook, that thing that is only used by old people. Okay, well, maybe the older crowd tends to use it, but it's still an opinion. This is an opinion. It's not 7 words, so this would not get any credit. So try and be objective when you define these things, meaning stick to the facts, stick to what we know. Now you use these examples, you follow the words of advice, you'll have no problem with this assignment that, again, you do 4 times in US History A, 4 times in US B, that's 8 times per year. And as always, please feel free to reach out should you still have further questions.